Hey, hey, hey! You want to ride with Cooking Soul? We're having some coffee with a couple of guests today. We're talking about agriculture, we're talking about food, we're talking about the food business. I'm not alone, you're with Yusuf DC. I'm from Cooking Soul myself, and I've got two guests with me. The first one is Fezega, and I've got the creative director and head chef of Cooking Soul. Who are these guys? I'm like, who are these people? Anyway, let's get down to Fezega. Fezega, you are our guest. And what do you do? Where are you from? What are you doing here? What are you bringing to the table? Which part of the food industry are you involved in?
So, my name is Fezega, and I am involved in the primary agriculture space and also youth development space as well. So currently I work as a transformation officer in the macadamia industry, which is one of the, you could say, biggest high value industries that we currently have in South Africa. So at the moment we are number one leading producer of macadamias in the world. And so what I do is I facilitate the transformation. So my job is transformation officer, and it's just basically empowering Black emerging farmers and moving them from that, you could say, emerging space all the way up to the commercial space. And then what it involves is your enterprise development, your skills development, and also lobbying a lot with government to make sure that policies are in line, that the industry is very conducive for them. And then in my personal capacity, I'm the co-founder of Grow and Live, which is a non-profit organization that just is aimed at encouraging agriculture amongst the youth. So we work with secondary school students who are trying to now choose streams and career streams to go into varsity. And then we also work with primary school kids, and we just try to teach them or educate them as to where food comes from, why is it important to grow trees, and so forth.
Jeepers. Also, there's a lot to speak about here. So, Fezega is in the primary industry. She's involved in macadamia nuts. She's the founder of Grow and Live. Alrighty. Involved in enterprise development. I've got a ton of questions just based on that introduction. There's so much. I'm going to break it down.
Quite intriguing indeed.
Absolutely. So, we also have with us, I call him Chef Q. I also think he's the creative director. Not just putting up the chairs in front. I'm talking about creative direction behind food. Q, what's your involvement in Cooking Soul? And tell us a bit about yourself. What's the deal with Cooking Soul? How are you involved in it? Why is it something you're passionate about?
I remember there was a time where I totally wasn't interested, participating in the industry that we're in now, simply because I felt like the climate wasn't right for us at that time. Then, fast forward, bump into Daniel. Danny's busy with his paella pans and whatnot. I got in there, and we found ourselves literally just traveling from place to place, different settings, different people. So I started to enjoy that outdoor vibe, that outdoor concept of literally just cooking and breaking bread and making friends with people who do not know. So away from the confines of a kitchen as we know it, right? Then, Brewmaster happens, and we experience even more of that. Soon after that, we established Cooking Soul literally a year after Brewmaster, if I remember correctly. And then Cooking Soul really, became this vehicle of, creating a dining experience, different locations, away from electricity, away from, the usual trappings of inner city hospitality, as we call it. We introduced ourselves into the industry with a concept of smoked meats, because this really touched a very special part of it, because we grew up at the farm. Every school holiday, we'll be sent to the farm and we spend time with our granny there. And when we're always in there, I'll always see all sorts of weird stuff hanging from the ceilings, and I was never sure exactly what it is. It looked quite
Weird
scary.
stuff like what? I don't understand. Like hanging from the ceiling.
To me, I'll see like things that look like meat. Then I'll speak to Greg. It's like, hey, that's meat. That's
Hanging
actually
from where specifically?
hanging from the ceiling of the kitchen house. Where she used to cook her meals every single day. So then I picked it up. Hey, this is how she preserves the meat. This is how she preserves, her corn as well. Because, the extra harvest of corn, I'll find it hanging in there as well. And then I just lashed on, and I started seeing that she preserves these things, and this is how she preserves, all this produce from the farm. She has no fridge, but the food there is flipping delicious, So now, because I hadn't been with my grandma for years and years, that really touched me, and also it just gave me this confidence of saying, I believe, as black people, we've all experienced those similar surroundings growing up, coming up, and I feel like, this is something that really, really feeds my soul. Hence our tagline, Feed Your Soul, just came in because I felt like I really want to start cooking food that really just touches that really, really special part of you, and it does have a sweet memory. So Cook Your Soul as it is right now, we are a very vibrant young black company, and we're very young in the industry, but when it comes to the academia, we go way back 20 years, because we went to school for this thing. That's why we even love what we do, So we found ourselves in a space where, we're really trying to get into the business of hospitality itself, where we are really questioning, the legislation that governs our industry as traders,
All right, but let me stop you right there. So now that we're talking about something that tickles my fancy, the business of hospitality. Now you mentioned something. You mentioned primary. You're in the primary sector. Now let's break down this business we're talking about. So when you're talking about primary sector, let's pretend I'm a layman. And a lot of lay people listening out there like, what? Primary sector? Is there secondary? Is there tertiary of this thing? What do you mean by primary sector? What?
So, for us, how we categorize the primary sector is the actual growing of produce or products.
Planting it in the
so
ground.
It's actually the planting of it's getting it from it as a seed or a seedling, putting it into the ground, nurturing it, and then after that getting your fruits or your harvest. So we characterize that as the primary. And then also in our sector, your secondary would be then your agri-processing, where you take the nuts and you switch it up and you do something else with it. And then our tertiary would be now taking it as a product and exporting it and selling it. So at least in the primary sector, that's how we would define your primary, your secondary.
That is so interesting. That's like the source. We're talking about that guy who grows the tomatoes and picks them straight from the field. So now, Q, do you do the same thing, or now where do you fall into the picture? Now that they've got the vegetables are ready, they've been picked, and then where do you come in?
They've harvested, So where we come in now is literally, going to the market, going to the farm, getting that fresh produce, and processing, turning it into something that is preserved, and we can literally spread it across the world, and people are able to enjoy that produce. Now, I mean, there's years where farmers have amazing harvest, man. Amazing harvest to such a point that, the consumer cannot consume it within that time frame of readiness,
because of sheer abundance. Sometimes the tonnage is so high.
Exactly, it's so high. So now when we come in, we need to be able to preserve it. We need to be able to apply our skills and and really ask ourselves, like, how can we preserve this? Hence providing food for the masses for a longer time until next season, until the next harvest. So hence then we that's when we start smoking produce, drying the produce, processing it into sauces, paste, the most delicate of pickles, you name it. It's all really about preserving life, preserving Mother Nature, for your
like
own
dried
health.
mangoes.
Exactly. You know, they'll tell you that it's good for digestion and all that stuff. You know, and within those processes that that we adopt, there's a very important aspect that we do. We also present our own health. And coming into the whole reality of 2020 and what we've experienced through COVID, our health has become the number one priority.
So let me hold you up right there before you go into 2020. 2020 is a very special kind of year.